Do you wonder how to manage feeling annoyed and frustrated with your kid, but also still be connected with them? This is the episode you need to listen to. Hi, I'm Dr. Roseann, and I'm a mental health trailblazer. Join me as we have real conversations about real solutions to kids' problems. And today, we're talking about how to manage boy, all the frustration that comes along with kids' behaviors and still show love to them and be connected. So let's dive in. Okay, I get it. I'm a mom times two. Kids' behavior can be annoying, it can be frustrating, it can be disturbing, it can be scary, it can be so triggering of our own stuff, you know? And it's really hard to stay connected and show love to kids that are very behavioral and having a lot of externalizing behaviors and even internalizers who cling to you like your life preserver. I always think of these kids as, there's that meme where the kid is trying to swim and absolutely freaking out, and somebody walks up to him and puts his feet down, and he realizes he's like in a foot of water. And like the look on his face was like, oh, oh, I was like freaking out over nothing. And and it just snapped in. And so, having a kid with mental health issues, behavioral issues, learning issues, this is not an easy road. Now, what I want to say to you is that, lotuses grow in mud. You're going to always hear me say that. And there is always a blessing in hardship. It's not always fun. It's always hard when you're in it, but I promise you there is something in it. And, when we really give our kids the skills, we teach them how to cope, we teach them good executive functioning, all these things that come along with the challenges our kids face. What happens is these kids become better human beings. I can tell you that, you're either going to deal with the kids' problem when they're young or when they're older. And it's a lot easier when they're younger. And boy, does it put some gray hair and a few pounds on you. And it's just that this is part of what it is. And as you hear me always say, 1 in 2 kids have a problem. This is not a unique problem. So how do we show love? How do we still stay connected to our children when they are struggling and they're grabbing onto us or pushing us away? And it's a lot of friction. It's a lot of conflict. It's a lot of frustration. First, it's not easy. And one, you need to give yourself some grace that this isn't easy and you're never going to be perfect. But you have to understand that it's about teaching them and shaping those behaviors, and getting help when you need to get help. We are not trained to be parents. And even for those of us that are trained to be parents, there's times, boy, when our kids push our buttons and, as I said earlier, trigger our stuff. I can tell you that I have a brother that I just don't like. I mean, he is a jerk. And always struggled with him and is just not a nice human being, right? Can you imagine? I have a brother that's not a nice human being, but I have a brother that's not a nice human being. And he married a not a nice human being either. And I like her even less. How about that? So, and feel free to share this with them. We're not on speaking terms. And that's okay because I'm a boundary setter and I don't believe you have to have relationships with everybody. But, here I have a kid that's an externalizer, very triggering. And, even in my own work and my own therapy had to be like, this is not a reenactment of your history. It's not genetics. I mean, my kid probably would have been normal. I don't know. Who the heck knows? But got bitten by a tick at 22 months and was an angry, kid for much of his life and is so much more chill than I thought. So we have to give ourselves grace. We have to let go of some of those tanglements. And if it's triggering your stuff, you need to do your own work, right? Because we have to share our calm. And if we are activated, all it's going to do is reactivate our kid. We're going to just stay in that. And that's true. Okay. Hostage negotiators don't go in there freaking out. They go in there calm. Okay. So you're not going to let your kid be the tyrant, and they're not being a tyrant. It's their behavior. It's their whatever is going on in their brain. Never remember, kids aren't doing this on purpose. Their brain is activating, their behaviors are getting stuck. So we have to role model our own calm, and that can only be done if we're taking care of ourselves. So we've got to take care of ourselves. We've got to get therapy. That's really important. Two, don't try to address behaviors in a heated moment. Okay? I know that's common sense, but walk away. I'm a big fan of mom times out, dad times out. I'm not a fan of kid timeouts. And that's because it sends a message to your kid. Like, you should send a message, hey, no. Mm-mm. Over time, I've said to my kids, I'm not in a place to deal with this right now. Mom needs to calm down, and then we're going to address it. And how this is how it's going down, you know. And when I do that, because I don't do it that often, my kids are like, "Ooh, holy moly!" Because usually I'm like, "Oh, this is the way it is." I use a lot of humor, and I think humor, if you can get there, if you can have joy practices in your day to really help release some of the stress, is a great way to diffuse behavior. Oh my God, it's so good. And it not only does it diffuse the stress, it really sends a message for your kids to have some damn stress tolerance. I find that the most frustrated point for parents is that when their kids don't have stress tolerance, and they're always looking for the parents to manage it. And this should be the frustrating point, because this is the key to mental health. So if your kid is not managing stress well today, and they're not handling little things today, yeah, they do have a potential to live in your basement. You've really got to address that. And you got to calm the behavior, you got to calm the brain, and you've got to teach them new skills. And it's not a magic wand. You need to really do this over time. You absolutely have that ability to do it. And you really have to try to connect with your kid. So find shared activities. My experience is that kids of all ages need movement. So whether that's arts and craft, whether that's walking, shooting a hoop, it is where the brain calms down. Just like I say, when I cook, it's like actually probably the only activity that I do that my brain is not 20 steps ahead creating something. I'm creating what's in front of me. I cook with my boys. Movement keeps the brain activated and keeps the worries at bay. It lowers our cortisol levels. We're improving endorphins. We'll lower our blood pressure. So get moving with your kids. Connect. Don't feel pressured to have big conversations. Keep the conversations neutral so you can build positive connections with them, and get help. If you're really struggling to get along with your kid, this isn't just an issue with your kid. You need help with how to communicate and speak to them in their language. And I would highly recommend that. So I hope this has inspired you to shift your thinking, to take care of yourself and find moments of joy for yourself, but with your child. It is possible. I don't care what the behaviors are there or how broken down it feel. And it's start with moments. Don't throw the whole activity out because the last 10 minutes were bad. Okay. Look for more engagement, more moments of connectedness, and they will build.